In today's video, we're going to talk about working the fourth step in financial UA. This step has been a long time coming, and a lot of people get hung up emotionally, frustrated, afraid. Sometimes they avoid it. Sometimes they choose to stop working the steps altogether. But let me tell you, working the fourth step is nothing to be afraid of. It's a chance to find freedom. It's a chance to go through a spiritual rite of passage where you can cross a threshold to freedom. I want to teach you how to work the financial UA fourth step. It's easier than you think. It's not that hard. And you are going to enjoy the process. It's going to be a spiritual experience, and I want to teach you all about it. So stay tuned. Hey, welcome! My name is Jay from Baltimore, Maryland, and I want to welcome you to the Financial UA General Service Office. Come on in and grab a seat. Let's get this meeting started. Before we start working the Financial UA fourth step together, I want to encourage you to do the best you can with getting a qualified sponsor in Financial UA. Over the course of this video, if you wish, you can consider me to be your temporary qualified sponsor just for today. But I want to encourage you to think long term. I want to encourage you to consider getting a qualified financial UA sponsor who can walk you through the remainder of the steps in this process. A qualified sponsor is somebody who's already worked the financial UA 12 steps under the guidance, support, and sponsorship of a qualified financial UA sponsor, because we can only give away what we've already received. So in order to be a qualified financial UA sponsor, that person needs to have worked with a qualified financial UA sponsor. And when you work with a qualified financial UA sponsor, you will train and prepare yourself to become a qualified financial UA sponsor. So before we move forward on step 4, I want to just give you a word to the wise. When people have difficulty with doing their fourth step in any 12-step program, it's usually because they still struggled with doing a thorough and complete third step. It's hard to work on a step if you have not built the foundation with the step that comes just before it. So if you find yourself afraid or hesitant to work on step 4, I would encourage you to make sure that your recovery foundation in step 3 is really strong and really healthy. I would encourage you to click this link right here to watch the video about step 3, living the step and doing interviews. You may also consider clicking this link to review the video about step 3, learning to share. You may click this link right here to review the video about step 3, building your team. I would encourage you to write your fourth step within the physical space of your recovery shrine or your recovery laboratory. If you need to review the video about how to create a recovery shrine or a recovery laboratory, I would encourage you to click this link right here. Now you're ready to do your written fourth step. Ideally, you'll be writing your fourth step within the physical space of your recovery shrine or your recovery laboratory. To help create and hold this space and make it sacred, to make it a healing space, to make it a safe space in which you can connect with your higher power and to allow all of the things inside of you to flow out as you write about your fourth step, I would invite you to say the prosperity prayer. In fact, we could do that together. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, the wisdom to know the difference, and the prosperity to afford it. And higher power and earning power, please be helpful as we begin the process of writing the fourth step. Sometimes when people are ready to write their fourth step, they start to experience writer's block. They feel resistance. They feel a sense of inhibition. It feels overwhelming to start the task of writing a fourth step. When it feels overwhelming, sometimes people feel it's easier to postpone or procrastinate doing this incredibly important step work. Well, I've got a great technique to help you move through the writer's block, to push procrastination to the side, and to help you get into motion in the easiest of ways possible. And that is to take your prosperity notebook, to take your prosperity pen, and to write out by hand step 4 10 times in your prosperity notebook. When you write out step 4 10 times in your prosperity notebook, it helps to break through the resistance. It helps you to overcome that wall of feeling intimidated by the 4th step. It helps you to get your hand in motion with doing some writing, because you're starting to write. You're writing the 4th step, literally writing the 4th step, and then once you're finished writing step 4 by hand 10 times in your notebook, it becomes completely natural to then transition into writing out the content of your 4th step. Now, your 4th step is primarily going to be about resentments. Let's take a moment to talk about resentments. What are resentments? The word resentment has its roots in French and Latin. It comes from ressentir, which is broken up into 2 words, re, which means again, and sentir, which comes from Latin, and it means to feel. So when people feel resentment or ressentir, they are feeling again, or to feel again. That's the literal definition of resentment, to feel again. In Financial UA, we define resentment as any feeling that keeps coming back. Just like in recovery, we encourage people to keep coming back. The problem with an addictive disease is that the addiction keeps coming back. Resentments are feelings that keep coming back. So what we notice is there's this pattern of repetition, this pattern of something that happens over and over again. In the worst case scenario, we feel emotional hurts over and over again. We feel fear over and over again. We feel that grudge over and over again. We feel the bitter sting of being rejected over and over again. Resentments as feelings are like ghosts that continue to haunt us. They are like bitter wounds from the past that have never healed. Now is the time to search our inner self, to search for any lurking resentments, such that we just can't seem to let them go. We just can't seem to be able to move on with our life. Again, a resentment, as Financial UA defines it, is any feeling that keeps coming back. It usually has a compulsive or obsessive quality to it. These underlying emotional memories or hurts from our past get easily triggered when we're simply trying to live our day-to-day life. We find that when the real world and the people in it easily trigger our old baggage, we lose our clarity and we lose our sanity as we slip into an emotional blackout drunk. We become unaware of our actions, we become unaware of our behaviors, and we lose touch with reality. We are emotionally and spiritually drunk, lashing outwards at other people, lashing inwards at ourselves as we slip into this emotional blackout. When we are raging over the hurts of the past, we lose touch with reality and we become temporarily emotionally insane. In order to move forwards with our recovery, we need to face and uproot each one of our resentments. We must take the opportunity to face and call our demons by their true name and to get help with releasing them. We learn to surrender our resentments just as we learn to surrender our disease. Most importantly, we stay focused on realizing that we are engaged in a struggle to reclaim our freedom. In your prosperity notebook, I want to encourage you to begin writing your 4th step. The very first topic around which you are going to begin writing is anger. So in your prosperity notebook, I want you to write a list, an inventory of everything around which you feel anger. Do not overcomplicate this. Simply search for the feeling of anger within yourself. Anger can come in a lot of different flavors. It has a lot of different words to describe it. You can use any of those words, but it's all about tapping into that anger and saying, just for today, it's okay for it to flow out onto the written page. Write about your anger. Anything that you need to write about, you can put down in your notebook. There are no restrictions. What you write about is completely up to you. And keep writing about your anger until you are done. How do you know when you're done? Well, when your hand starts to cramp up and you don't feel as if you can hold your pen any longer, that's when you're done, just for that day. And then you can ask your higher power to help you to begin writing on your anger when your hand feels a little bit better. And then you keep writing about the anger. Just let it out of your system. Write all about it until your hand gets tired again. Then you stop. Generally, I would encourage you to take about 2 to 3 days, but no longer, to write about your anger. You're not trying to write a book. You're just trying to get the majority of the anger out of your system, to write about it, to call it by its true name, to get it down on the page so that it's no longer inside of your soul, it's no longer inside of your heart, and it's no longer inside of your head. You have been able to validate your anger, to acknowledge it, to take ownership of it, and to write about it and get it down in your prosperity notebook where it can be safely contained and you can feel as if you have gotten it out of your system and had it documented in a place that you know you can trust. While you're writing your anger inventory, be prepared for spiritual experiences to happen to you while you're in the process of writing your 4th step. Generally, while you're writing your anger inventory, you might have a profound change in your perspective on life, or you might have a major shift in how you remember things from the past. Shifts in your perspective or changes to your awareness are really strong indicators that you are having a spiritual experience. If you have a spiritual experience while you're working on your anger inventory, be sure to write that down and document it in your prosperity notebook. If while you're writing your anger inventory, let's say you run out of things to write about, let's say you just can't think of anything around which you feel anger or rage or a grudge or indignation. If you ever feel stuck in the middle of your anger inventory, I would encourage you to ask your higher power to stir the pot. When I say stir the pot, what that means is it's asking your higher power to gently set in motion some things in your regular life experience that will gently trigger you. Again, gently trigger you, meaning that they will stir things up in a way that you can handle, but which does bring to your attention and to your awareness issues that you have that are deeply rooted, as well as your issues with other people. So if you ever feel stuck in your inventory, just ask your higher power to stir the pot, and your higher power will likely set in motion a chain of events in your day-to-day life which will shake your world up a little bit. Not too much, like a gentle shake, to help bring to your attention things around which you can write down, issues that you have that may have been too close for you, that may have been beneath your radar. But what higher power does is it brings it up to your awareness, right to your face, and when you get a chance to look into the mirror and see your own character, this is an opportunity to write about what you see. There is also a spiritual phenomena which has to do with how your life will begin to resemble the step on which you are currently working. This means that as you go about living your day-to-day life, you'll begin to be aware of how often you look at the world through the eyes of anger. You'll start to notice how much anger you carry around with you and how often you bring anger into your day-to-day experiences. How often that anger that you've been carrying leaks out and contaminates your relationships with other people. You may notice yourself getting into more confrontative conversations with other people. And in the middle of that, you may catch yourself and say, oh wow, wait a minute, I'm working on my anger inventory, and I suddenly noticed that I seem to be bringing a lot of anger into my conversations or into my relationships with other people. Wait a minute, that anger is really inside of me. I've been bringing anger and projecting my anger out into the world, and now I'm starting to see that if I have a world full of anger, it actually comes from me. I am projecting it outwards. Oftentimes people think that the world is an angry place and then the anger is coming towards them, when in reality, they are really carrying the anger around inside of them and projecting it outwards, and then thinking that it's everybody else that's angry, when really it's their own anger that's the issue. So keep in mind that your life will begin to resemble the step on which you are currently working. And if you are working on the anger inventory, be prepared to notice more anger coming up, bubbling up from within, and being reflected back to you from the different relationships you have, the different interactions you have in your day-to-day life. And it's a good idea to not take it personally when you find that there's a lot of anger happening around you. If you're in touch with your anger inventory, if you're writing about it, you'll probably come to appreciate that it's really your own anger that you're in battle with. And that writing about your anger as it comes up in your day-to-day life, since you're writing about your anger inventory anyways, this is an opportunity to come to peace, to find a way to peacefully surrender that anger that you carry, and to surrender your anger to your higher power. After you've written your anger inventory, I would encourage you to take maybe 24 hours to rest and relax, to celebrate your positive action, to reward yourself for having done the work of written your anger inventory. And I would encourage you to share in a Financial UA workshop or Financial UA meeting, and also with your qualified Financial UA sponsor, to share about the fact that you have finished writing your anger inventory. That way you can get closure on your anger inventory before you move forward to write about the next topic. Now it's time for our 7th tradition. Every Financial UA meeting ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. There are no dues or fees for Financial UA membership. All of our meetings are completely free to attend, both over the phone and face-to-face. Please keep in mind that we do have expenses, such as covering the cost of our website, developing new literature, and maintaining our service office. If you would like to make a 7th tradition donation, you can click the PayPal link below or visit our website at financialua.org and click the donate button. You can also support this program by purchasing a copy of our Financial UA 12-step workbook or our Financial UA Traditions workbook. Also, you can help us carry the message by subscribing to our channel and even by sharing this video with your sponsor or sponsee. Lastly, please consider clicking that like button and give us a big thumbs up for service. Now's the time for sharing. Who'd like to take a share? In the comments section below, feel free to share your experience, strength, and hope around writing a 4th step. What was it like to write out the different 4th-step inventories that made up your 4th step? Share about it in the comments section below. Remember, when you share your first-hand experiences with writing the fourth step, you can teach other people through your experience. And in recovery, everybody's a student and everybody's a teacher. So share about your experience in the comment section below, and maybe you could also learn from the experience of other people when you read their comments. And of course, do consider clicking the subscribe button. When you subscribe to the Financial UA channel, you help us to carry the message. Also, if you have any questions about working the fourth step, or any suggestions for future topics for videos, please leave them in the comment section below. If you have a question, we can make a video to answer your question. If you propose a topic, we can make a video that addresses your topic. As we move towards closure, please visit us at www.financialua.org or email us at financialua@gmail.com. Now let's close with our prosperity prayer. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, the wisdom to know the difference, and the prosperity to afford it. Awesome. Hey, thanks so much for joining us and helping to hold this space for healing and recovery. Please help us carry the message by subscribing to our channel and sharing this video with others. And most important, keep coming back. Have a great day, everybody.
God grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, wisdom to know the difference, and the prosperity